Hi, my name is James Foley. I'm an author and illustrator based in Western Australia, and I'm going to show you how to draw one of my characters today. My next book, Stellarphant, is a picture book, and that comes out in November 2021. But I've also worked on a bunch of graphic novels, some spooky picture books, some chapter books, and some earlier picture books, including The Last Viking Returns, and my very first picture book, The Last Viking. And I've got a really soft spot for that one. And it's turning 10 years old this year. In June 2021, it'll be 10 years old. So I'm going to show you how to draw the character of Thor, who appears in The Last Viking and The Last Viking Returns. Now, Thor here does not look like the version of Thor you might be familiar with. He looks nothing like Chris Hemsworth, nothing like the version of Thor from the Marvel comics or the Marvel films. So my version of Thor has red hair and a big red beard because that's what Vikings used to say he had. He has metal gauntlets there that have magic that protect his arms. He's got this version of Mjolnir here. Not like the Marvel version, of course. It's a different version. He's got a belt that increases his strength and a lovely horned helmet, which is completely historically inaccurate. The Vikings never had horns on their helmets, but it does make them look cool. So I'm going to show you how to draw this guy. You can use an iPad app like I'm using here. This app is called Procreate. You definitely do not have to use an iPad app. You can simply use pencil and paper if you wish. So just some plain A4 white paper is totally fine. Grab yourself a lead pencil and an eraser. And that's basically all you need, yeah? You could get like a fine liner as well if you've got one. Some coloured pencils, even some watercolour paints or whatever if you'd like. But either an app or paper, pencil, eraser, that's all you're going to need. So, exactly the same process is going to happen for this drawing regardless of whether you're on an app or whether you're on paper. We're going to start by drawing the basic shapes of the character and doing so really lightly on the page, really lightly. And that means we can erase things easily if we need to. It means that we can draw over the top if we need to. We don't have to draw really dark at first. And it's a really good habit to get into when you're drawing, to draw really lightly to begin with. So, actually I should say, I've got my page landscape orientation as well. It's not portrait orientation like this, it's landscape orientation. So it's side on in front of us, okay? And then Thor's head is going to be a circle shape towards the top of the page, in the middle of the page. There we go. Now his shoulders are going to come out here, broad shoulders and a narrower waist. And then we've got a helmet shape up here. Notice how the bottom edge of the helmet is curving there. Got a horn here, and another historically inaccurate horn here. We're going to have a nose in the middle of the face here. Moustache is a semicircle shape here. And the beard goes about halfway down the tunic here. And even just a little bit further. Great. Okay. Let's just put a few more basic shapes on here too. Some of the beard will be on his cheeks, so I'm putting a little curved line down the sides of his cheeks there as well. His ears are going to be here. His hair goes down behind his ears and down his back. There's also going to be a bit of hair coming down underneath his helmet and curving down the sides there. And there's also going to be an eyebrow here, an eyebrow here, an eye here and an eye here. Slightly too close together, I think, actually. Let me just rub that out and adjust it. Something like that, I think, will work. Great. Just a couple more basic shapes, and then our Thor is ready for some more detail. We need to put a shoulder muscle here. Shoulder muscle is like a ball, and the bicep muscle is like almost like a letter D here. And then another one here. This is going to be the forearm. Actually, that one can curve around a bit more. Okay, cool. We're going to sort of finish up the drawing about there. We're not going to bother with his legs and stuff. And we are going to put Thor holding his hammer in the other hand. So we are going to put a fist here, and the fist is going to be a little boxy shape there. It's on a bit of an angle too compared to the line of his shoulder. And the hammer has a ball at the bottom of the handle, so we'll put that there. And then we will put his forearm underneath, and his forearm is like a really long teardrop shape here. And then we'll connect that up to his armpit. There we go. Now the hammer is going to be up here. So there's a rectangle on top of the fist, and there's a flat part at either end of the hammer. Might just slightly bring that in from the edge there. The wonder of digital, hey? I wish I could do that on pieces of paper when I was a kid. Okay, cool. That's all the basic shapes that we need to now go forward and put the details on our character. So, in case I've been going too fast, we will give you a chance to catch up here. Just before we do, though, I just noticed it might be handy just to add a few extra little rough details. Let's divide the hand, the fist, into... We'll put one line down here, and then we'll divide this other side into four fingers. Okay, cool. Now it's ready to give you some time to catch up. So we'll give you a few minutes just to make sure you've got all these shapes ready to go. Remember, we're just drawing this really nice and light at this stage, really lightly, so we can go over the top with some darker details in the next step. So go for it. Okay, now that we've got all these basic details down, we can go over the top a little bit darker with our pencil. And I'm going to start up with the head up here. I'll zoom in so you can see a bit easier. We're going to add an extra detail in here. We're going to go down the middle of the helmet here and put a triangle shape there at the bottom of that bit. And we'll just have this bit pop above the edge of the helmet there. And then we'll do the top edge of the helmet. And I'm going to do the bottom edge of the helmet. And then I'm going to put a rim on the bottom of the helmet like that. Okay, let's put historically inaccurate horn here. And another one here. Let's put his big boxy nose on next. And we'll put the top lines of his moustache down. And then we'll put these bristly bits down here. Now we're going to do the hair coming down from underneath his helmet there, bit of his fringe. You might notice I'm not doing a solid line, I'm doing a broken line, just to make it look, like individual hairs. Same thing down the edges of his beard here on his cheek. It's broken, fluffy lines. The outside edge of the beard here, and ear, and ear. Let's do the rest of his beard coming down here. I don't have to follow the guidelines I've done exactly. They're just guidelines. They're just rough lines. Just roughly got to put the shape of the beard in there. Alright, let's put his mouth underneath the edge of the moustache here. And then we'll put another line underneath and we'll add some teeth. Great. Now we can do his eyebrows. They're going to be all kind of fuzzy as well. Fuzzy on the top at least, and then the other edges can be straight. One eye, another eye. Alright, we're almost done with his head. Now we just got to do the lines of the hair that goes down the back, behind his ears and over his shoulders. There's his head. Okay, give you a minute to catch up on that section there. Alright, now we need to add some more details. We need to add, he does have a cape, though I don't remember drawing it all that often. in the books. It wasn't the original character design. We're going to put a semicircle here with a buckle in it and a little line through there as well. We'll do the same thing over here. So a bit of a semicircle with a buckle line through there. Okay, great. We're going to do his shoulders there, and we'll go to the edge of the shirt. We are going to curve this around where it would join onto his big muscle, and then we're going to kind of curve around the other way because he's a little portly, this Thor. He's not as muscly as Chris Hemsworth. Let's put the shoulder muscle and bicep here. Let's do a few hairy lines on his arm here. So they don't have to be neat and straight and tidy and parallel or anything. They can be a bit messy. I'm sure he doesn't brush his arm hairs. And then we can show a bit of the forearm, but then we are going to draw a straight line going across here, and down, and then we're going to have another one coming out, and down, another one coming out, and down. This is that metal gauntlet, and it's got some metal plates that interlock. And we can do this going down his arm. Easy. The other one is the tricky one. The other hand is the tricky one. So this section we've done here, this one here, it's going to have some spikes on it, because he's got spikes on the knuckles built in to his gloves. There's some little extra little rims around those spikes where they join onto the gauntlet, onto the glove. And then the front of the panel that they're all sitting on is curved out like this too. And then it slots behind. You can just draw the line going behind those spikes. We can draw the front edge of that too. We'd be able to see the front edge of that from here. So that's a little tricky, that part, isn't it? But now we're going to do the knuckles, the fingers, and I'm not going to make the fingers all the same length like they are in this rough here. I'm going to make them different lengths. So we're going to have the index finger, and then the middle finger is longest, and then the ring finger is about the same length as the index finger, and then the little finger is the shortest. And I forgot actually to put the thumb in here. So the thumb is going to fit back here. So that's Thor's fist wrapping around the handle. But to make it look like his fingers are wrapped in little chunks of metal, we'll put little lines on here like this. But you can imagine it's like an Iron Man gauntlet, you know, wrapping around each of these fingers. Okay, let's put this ball, and you can put just the slightest edge of the handle sticking out there. You can put a little reflection on that ball that's at the end of the handle if you like. Now we can, remember these little gauntlet-y bits we did here? We're going to do a similar sort of thing here, but we're going to go from underneath this, the bottom of this handle here, and we're going to go down and up and then across. So it's this, I don't know how to describe that shape. These interlocking panels, and there should be 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, and then underneath that is going to be the elbow, and that goes all the way back around to the armpit. And we can have a little crease showing in here. That's where the arm is creasing. And we can show that this is not metal, this is arm, by having some hair there. You could even have a little bit of armpit hair sticking out there if you like. I'm sure this version of Thor is not doing any manscaping. Let's put some hair back here too. Great. Now, we can add a few more details on these metal plates that interlock. From this angle, we would be able to see that there's this design going up them too. There's this sort of ridge on the edges and up the curve, up the, I don't know what you call it, up the bit that it's pointy. And we can even, if you really want to, just show a little bit more of the hand back here as well. And in fact, it would actually be joining on here somehow. Something like that. Okay, great. Let's put this big mallet, this big hammer on here. Now, you don't have to make this look 3D. If you're not confident making stuff 3D, you do not have to do that. So I'll give you the straightforward way first, and then I'll show you how to make it a little bit 3D if you would like. So we'll just follow those shapes. Let's put the handle connecting onto the hammer there. All right, now let's make it a little 3D. You can do this if you like. Let's have a look around this side here. I am going to draw another line here, and see how it's a bit shorter at the top and at the bottom than the line that's next to it. I'm just making it a bit shorter because now I can join it up like this. Now it looks a little bit 3D. Ooh! We can do a similar thing here. Ooh! Great. And we can put a few cracks and dots and stuff on this. In my version of Thor's hammer, it was kind of made of like stone or something, but I suspect, I'm wondering if in the original mythology it's in fact supposed to be a type of kind of metal or something. I'm not sure. I know it's basically kind of a rare type of metal in the Marvel comics, but I can't remember what it is in the original mythology that Vikings actually used to tell each other. So basically I'm putting some little cracks and dots and stuff on it to give it a bit of texture, which when you colour it in grey makes it look kind of like rock. If you coloured it in yellow, it would in fact look a little bit like cheese. So maybe don't colour it in yellow, unless of course you want it to be a cheese hammer. I mean, that could be fun if you're in a battle and then you get hungry, you could eat a bit of your cheese hammer. And if your enemies are lactose intolerant, you could bonk them on the head with your cheese hammer and give them a little rash. So that could be interesting. But yeah, ideally you'd be colouring it in more like grey, like we have been doing here. Okay, so let's add a few more details to the tunic. Before we do that though, I'll just give you a chance to catch up on the hammer and any sections of these arms that you haven't been able to catch up with yet. So a couple of minutes to catch up. Go for it. Okay, let's finish up. There are some little details we need to add. We need to add Thor's magic belt. There is a circle here, double circle. There is the belt going over this way. It's got little lines along the sides of it. We've got a triangle here, which is the parts of the belt coming through. And we've got some holes in the belt here. We've got some holes here and some holes here. Now, the details inside there, I mean, you can put whatever symbol you want in here, but in the original book, it's a Viking ship. Here's the sail, there's the mast, and it's a ship that's coming straight towards us, so it's got some shields on the sides of it. That's the design there. It's based on an actual belt buckle that the author, Norman Jorgensen, has. So yeah, he's got all this cool Viking memorabilia and stuff. It's not all official stuff. I mean, if he showed it to you, he'd probably tell you it was real, because it looks real, but they're like reproductions of Viking things. Now, let's do a couple of lines. There's a line going straight down the center, and then we can have some more lines down the tunic, like so. That is the character of Thor, as seen in my books. The Last Viking and The Last Viking Returns. He's been a really fun character to draw. Now, you can colour him in too if you like. I'll kind of leave it up to you what colours you want to choose. I would respectfully suggest perhaps some orange, some ginger beard and ginger hair. But look, do it however you like. I'm going to demonstrate how I might do the colours, and I'll speed it up so you can see it in time lapse. One other thing you can do with all your little rough outlines too is you can rub those out a little bit, or you can leave them in. They don't have to be gone. The good thing about drawing digitally is I can just turn them off really easily by doing this. So that's handy. It's a bit like cheating, isn't it? Sorry. Let me grab an orange, and I'm going to grab a watercolor brush, and I shall do some demonstrating about how this might look in color. And so there you have it. That's my version of THOR. I hope that this was clear enough for you to follow. I hope you had fun. Perhaps you learned something. Mostly, at least you had fun, I hope. And please keep drawing, especially if you're enjoying it. Drawing is such a wonderful hobby to have. Let me just sign that too. Go back to my pencil. Go back to my lines layer. And make sure you sign your work too. And so there you have it. That's THOR from The Last Viking. Thanks, everyone.